Okay, the next thing that we have to do is evaluate the information. Once we have information and we looked at it and we said, okay, this is what I want to use for my speech, we have to evaluate that information one more time to just make sure that it comes from a good source. So we have to ask ourselves, what are the author or publisher's credentials? Why am I trusting this information? What about this information makes it trustworthy? Has the author published before? Has the publisher published before? Why am I trusting this publisher? What's the publication date? Are references provided? We also have to cross-check information. Do other sources provide similar information? If it doesn't, that doesn't necessarily mean it's wrong, but we really have to ask ourselves, wait, why am I trusting this? Why is this the only source that has this particular piece of information? Then we have to look at bias in language. We have to say, okay, is the language used overly emotional? If it is, then it may be really a really biased piece. Are there broad generalizations about the subject? So is it just a summary? Is the point of view rational? Is it based on facts? If not, we really should think again about using it. So once we've done all that, once we identified what we want to do, once we've found information, and once we evaluate it, we need to apply and acknowledge that. We need to apply and acknowledge the information that we found. So we answer the research question by using that information in a speech. So we apply it by using it in our presentations, and we acknowledge that. We acknowledge where we got that information. So we do that in a works cited page, which I will walk you through, and I will send you links to in the future. You need to cite speeches orally in the speech's body. Now, this is new for us. So anytime that you give a new piece of information in your speech, acknowledge where that information came from. So maybe an author and a title. Or an author and a publication. So according to Susan Smith, who wrote in the Wall Street Journal. And also in your credibility statement in the speech's introduction. Be specific. We talked about credibility statement before speech number 3. And we talked about it and we said, okay, how do you know about this subject? And oftentimes in speech number 3, it was something that you already know how to do, or something that was taught to you. In this case, it was taught to you through those sources. Those sources of information taught you about the subject. It's where you're getting your information. So the very least that you could do is cite that in your speech. Tell us where it is in the beginning of your speech and in the body of your speech. It's giving credit where credit is due. And it's really the actual absolute least you could do. So we will talk about research in the upcoming lectures. We will talk about acknowledging sources, and we'll talk about works cited pages as well.